What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, of course, a lot is being made of the steep box office drop-off for the Fantastic Four now as we're headed into the third weekend, and we've already talked about it pretty extensively at the channel. You can see whatever you want to in those metrics, but at the end of the day, the Fantastic Four was a good film. It did what it needed to do with the Marvel fan base, and will end 2025 as Marvel's most profitable movie of the three, not to mention it's the second movie in a market turnaround for the quality of the projects after Thunderbolts. But maybe today's news shouldn't have come as such a surprise, where we're hearing from a trusted industry insider source that not only is Marvel Studios moving forward with Fantastic Four 2, they even go on to talk about their expectations for the second outing for the first family. We're breaking it all down, this latest news about the follow-up sequel for the Fantastic Four and when to expect it in the future slate. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do if you're into that kind of thing. Thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately and helped grow the channel. If you haven't already, I just kindly invite you to do so. It's the number one thing you can do to support us, plus it'll enter you for all the giveaways if you want. Stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this latest update comes from the trusted industry insider source, Jeff Snyder. You guys can follow him over on his own editorial, The InSnyder, or over on the Hot Mic podcast, where he and John Roca have been extremely active in the last 2 years with their Marvel scoops. And again, these are the guys who not only nailed Robert Downey Jr. returning as Dr. Doom 2 months before Marvel confirmed it, but we're also talking about the Hulk being in Spider-Man Brand New Day months and months before that became common knowledge, or the Hollywood trade confirmed it about 5 months later. So these guys have a proven track record. Take that as you will. This is what Jeff Snyder is saying about the Fantastic Four moving forward with the sequel at Marvel Studios, quote, "The box office wasn't great this weekend, with the Fantastic Four First Step suffering a huge drop en route to a second weekend 40 million, indicating that it will likely not beat Superman. However, I've heard, quote, Matt Shakman will likely return to direct a sequel, which Marvel execs think will perform better once its first family appears in the two-part Avengers finale." And as I mentioned during the prologue, while I think part of that was pretty self-evident, Matt Shakman did what he needed to do, the Fantastic Four did what it needed to do, so barring any major catastrophe between here and there, of course they would give him a shot to come back for the sequel, and most likely the trilogy. That's usually what Marvel does, again barring some weird things happening, and we've seen that before at Marvel. But what we can infer from this is that Marvel Studios is already looking forward to a Fantastic Four 2 and saying that, hey look, the box office may have been what it is now, but once these characters have been a part of a major Avengers crossover like Secret Wars, of course there's going to be more interest in them in the continuation of their storyline. At least that's what they're assuming, but we just talked about this in a video a couple of days ago about Marvel Studios learning their lesson with characters, where Thor seems like he'll be sticking around for another decade. Marvel Studios knows that one of the biggest mistakes they made coming out of the Infinity Saga was killing off Tony Stark and then essentially doing the same with Steve Rogers, even if he is Old Man Cap somewhere in the 616 or on the moon, so to speak, on a sword base. Doesn't matter, he's not a part of the storyline. But the second huge mistake they made was thinking that these third tier and second tier properties would end up carrying Marvel Studios and let over a half decade go by or more until they released another Avengers film. And yes, we are getting Doomsday and we are getting Secret Wars, but they do not want that much time to pass between Fantastic Four 1 and Fantastic Four 2, especially with the momentum and the sort of cachet those characters will carry coming right out of Secret Wars. Now, speaking of which, we've heard recently from major editorials that they're really only focusing on the most major properties, and in such, at least right now, Blade and Deadpool 4 are not even priorities, with Deadpool having made over $1 billion and Blade having been shelved for the same amount of time since we've seen another Avengers movie. You would think those would be at the forefront, but we know already, at least according to the same industry insider source, that Ryan Coogler is going to have first dibs coming out of Secret Wars. We're going to get that third Black Panther film. Also, we'll be getting the X-Men reboot. They're giving that to the guy who just did Thunderbolts. But Matt Shakman's Fantastic Four sequel, I assume that will be a priority property for them, again, based on these quotes, because Marvel thinks, hey, look, we did okay at the box office this time around. Let's get them the second time, especially with what I think will be establishing those very first steps, pun totally intended, as we head into that next part of the saga, which has been rumored not just to be a mutant saga, but to be a cosmic saga, mostly set in space, where a classic Fantastic Four villain and Annihilus, in what should have been the villain for the now cancelled but sort of on hold Project Innova, he might be the big bad of the whole next saga and could be the villain in Fantastic Four 2. We actually did a video already covering that. So while there have been a lot of reasons why Marvel movies have sort of had to wait quite a while, in between their sequels, as is par for the course for having to juggle this many properties, Marvel Studios is probably going to fast track Fantastic Four 2 so that they don't make the same mistake they just did with the Avengers, letting 6 or 7 years go by. I assume the latest we get the sequel to this film is 2029 or 2030, which is not that far off considering it'll be 2028 when we come out of Avengers Secret Wars, and then maybe just one more year or two until we get the Fantastic Four sequel. Now, we could spend a ton of time in this video talking about Franklin Richards' future and what it'll mean for that next saga, and even the return of Galactus and Norrin Radd Silver Surfer. I think there is quite a bit to talk about there. More importantly than that for this video though, it does not matter which projects Marvel release. They need to tell a consistent through line and arc with major point of view characters. Now, if that's going to be Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards, great, let it be that. If it's going to be the new T'Challa, the new Black Panther, awesome. But we need to see those characters consistently, regardless of what movies they're putting out, so that we sort of know which characters to latch onto when you go wide. Right now, the problem is that we should have seen Shang-Chi like 4 or 5 more times than we did in the MCU. And I know they probably had plans again for T'Challa to be that character, rest in peace Chadwick Boseman, and maybe they were thinking that Doctor Strange is that character, but with his erased cameo in WandaVision and some of the other projects that he didn't feature in, I'm sorry, Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man No Way Home were absolutely 2 of the biggest projects in the entire multiverse saga. I get it, I am not trying to discount that, but I'm also not going to lie and say that you can compare Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange right now in the MCU to something like Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark or even Chris Evans' Steve Rogers. It just does not feel the same. We need those characters established to hold it all together. I've been saying this since the beginning. So really the double mistake of getting rid of Steve Rogers and Tony Stark at the same time, and then right behind it, not doing another Avengers film. But it looks like Marvel Studios is learning. They're doing something different now, and that's why I assume this Fantastic Four 2 movie that he's saying is a go, with Matt Shakman returning, won't be as long as the normal break between Marvel sequels. Speaking of which, how mad is Mahershala Ali going to be if we get to Fantastic Four 2 before Blade 1? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments quickly. We are still giving away PlayStations this year. We've got Marvel Zombies and Wonder Man coming up. If you want to be entered to win or for any of the other future giveaways, just make sure you're subscribed, leave a comment down below. The best way to keep up with the content is to hit that notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can find me on all other platforms with original music under the name All Fires, including the song you're hearing in the background. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.